What's up? What's up? I am back. It's another show, guys. I'm just getting this thing started. It's probably going to be streaming while I'm getting this ready. Shoot, I just had a lot of little things that happened all at one time. Yeah. So where am I at? I'm in my other studio right now, and this is for the real Leon Duncan. It's for my other show, right? But we gonna do it over here, man, because something was going on with my setup over there. I don't know. The mixer was crazy, but I didn't want to hold off. See, one thing I do know is when you start doing stuff like this and you stream and you put out content that you know needs to go out there, I'm gonna bring this down. See, the deal is once you start putting out content that you know needs to be out there, you always gonna get these little things that happen. And literally, I had everything happen at the same time. Like my wife needed something, she was struggling with it. I was trying to get this going because I had to get back to some other stuff I was working on, and it's like it just happens just like that fast. So shoot, man. But I am here, and I am thankful for being here. You know, very, very, very thankful for being here, and buy some coffee. Yeah. Mm. Whew. Man, it's another show. If you were able to like hold on while I got this thing set up, I very much appreciate you. You know, very much appreciate you. And we move into the next one. I'm gonna make sure our Facebook stream is good. Then we're gonna jump into this. Dope. Yeah. Tell me, tell me if you can hear me out there. If you can't hear me, let me know. Yeah. Yeah. So I like to make sure that my stream is actually streaming. It's coming through on Facebook. Let's make sure. All right. Tell me if you can hear me out there. If you can't I guess it's good. I can hear myself, so I know I'm good to go, baby. Yeah. One more thing. Let's get this going. We're gonna have some fun today. We're gonna have some fun today. I know a bunch of people are gonna check this out and replay. This is the different set. This is my other set. This is just to go ahead and do this today. Largely, it was just I was jumping over everything to getting this stuff done today, and I kind of feel I understand why. I got some really good, interesting things to talk about. I got some great things that's going on, and sadly, there's a lot of things that's going on right now in the country too. So, without any delay, I'm gonna swipe up this. Let me go ahead and set up. Yeah, cool. That's better. Whole lot better, at least. Ooh, no, no, no. Oh. I got my topics. We got some topics we're gonna cover. We're gonna talk about some stuff. Woo. So I guess if the broadcast starts off like this, then this is probably how it's gonna be.
Congratulations, well done.
And
Congratulations, well done.
woo, I tell you. It's deep today, bro. It's deep. It's deep. Making sure I'm on everything. Because everything is important to me. Boom, boom, boom. Make sure we go on. Let's go to yeah. We're on. Yeah, I guess we are on. I guess we are on. Yep. Mm-hmm. We are on. Boom. All right, that's cool. Yep. Yep, 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 yep. So if you're watching this in replay, my name's Leon Duncan. It's the real Leon Duncan studio, but I'm coming to you on Real Estate Lunchbox. So if you love any kind of content from me, please go support it, check it out. The real Leon Duncan, that's my other channel. But I got a lot, man. I wanted to talk about, and I just started the day off crazy. I don't know. I it only took a minute for this to happen. It only took a minute. I went down. My wife needed something. I came back to because I put the shows together. When I put the content together, I actually combine it and I make sure that all my videos available and it flows as smooth as it can when we go through it. And I got my topics lined out, so I actually build out the show. I really don't try to let it be a minute and just jump on and just start talking smack. So most of the content that I actually put out, not every piece, so not all reactions, but most of it, I've already watched it to an extent. So I try not over and over again to develop an opinion, but really because I'm curious about these topics. And I bring these topics because I know sometimes the things I talk about are very controversial. People disagree with me off the top, and it's okay. It's all right. I'm expecting people not to agree with me. If I live in a world where everybody agree with me, it would be a bad world, but crazy upside down world. Same thing for you. You watching this in replay. If you lived in a world where everybody agreed with you, it would be a sad place. Okay. So, but I get a lot of people that have just some nasty things, or they just think I'm crazy about the content I put out. So when I prepare this, I want to at least read through it. And these are topics that are interesting to me, but I'm always open for anyone to have their opinion. Leave a comment. Tell me if I'm crazy. Tell me if you don't like it. If you don't like it, tell me your perspective. I'm cool with that. No problem. I wanted this show actually today to I want to start by saying, man, listen, I do not condone the life of any a situation where anybody loses their life. Okay? I don't condone violence. I'm in this studio right now, but when I'm on the other side in the other studio, you see my uniform there, my military uniform. I don't just put it there just because of any reason, but I love the military. I enjoyed my time there. I learned a lot of things, and I think critical thinking and taking the time to be less emotional about certain things, I learned a lot there. So I don't condone anyone losing their life, especially not over political rhetoric or propaganda. And when I say propaganda, I'm not saying propaganda from the standpoint of the topics that we're dealing with: illegal immigration, fraud in Minnesota, uh, um, all these different things. Maine came on the charts. All these political things, they're polarizing, and but I don't do these topics just to polarize you. I mean, it's cool. This is great for content. You write about it if you watch it in replay play. But there is a level of discussion that needs to be heard, and not an echoing of what other people think or they believe. Um, One thing I can say, I've had the pleasure of coming up in an environment where martial arts was important. Later on, the military became important. Firearms became important. Executive protection became important. So I was in that space, and I was fortunate to be able to learn from some really good people in that executive protection, in that firearm military space. I had a lot of great black and white NCOs help me through my military career. and if I wouldn't be here for some of the wisdom that I heard from them. I've been able to be trained by some of the best executive protection guys that are out there. At the same time, my uncle, who I lived in a house with for a period of time, was a retired police officer, and then he also worked in D.C. at the police foundation, and he was prior Navy. So he exposed me to firearms and weapons, and I always had conversations my senior year in high school because I was fortunate to go live in that Anne Arundel County, Maryland area, coming out of Philadelphia, because a black man, a male, I would have been grateful if it was black or white, but a male took me under his wing and he started to show me what it took and needed to be, what you needed to be a man, to grow into that space of actually being a man. Please, if you're watching this, like, subscribe, comment. Super chats are always welcome. And he was able to show me, Leon, if you turn around and the way that this world works, you have to have your head on a swivel, because sometimes you have the people that look like you that want to do you harm, and then you also have everything in between. And when I say everything in between, I'm speaking in reference to situations where you're going to find yourself face to face with police officers. God forbid, is something that's an altercation. We pray that it's always something where God's presence is always there, and your ears are open and you're able to listen and hear what's being told to you, and you're not led by emotion. And what I see now, from what I learned back in 97, 2000, 2004, jumping in the military, being around martial artists, being around firearms guys, coming out of my senior in high school, emotion is always the thing that creates the worst situation. When I put it, and I'm not saying not having emotion, but letting those emotions guide you and lead you. And as a believer in Jesus Christ, I also believe that these emotions are great for us to have. God blessed us to have these emotions of love and peace and compassion. But those same emotions can be manipulated, and then there's a flip side to that emotion, to anger, fear, resentment. What emotion leads your life when you start in an altercation is going to determine sometimes the end result of that altercation. So I was fortunate to learn that at an early age. Growing up in Philadelphia, yeah, you always had people getting stopped by cops. In the military, we always had some stuff going on. You had to deal with MPs or crazy stuff. But you're always in that situation where you can let your emotions govern you, or you can use wisdom. When I do this, I'm nervous for the people, these children, these kids in their 20s, their 30s. I'm 47, in at that age group, and they never learned how to do that, or govern and govern their emotions, control their emotions, regardless of whatever they felt. Now you thrust us into this society where some people can't even tell the difference between AI, if it's an AI video, or if it's a real video, AI picture, or fake rendering. So because of that reason, a lot of content now, as I scroll online, YouTube and other places, a lot of the content, I like, for example, I saw someone, they had a video, and I knew it was an AI video. I think it was about 8 minutes. Well, no, not 8 minutes. It was 5 minutes. And I'm watching the video, but she had 22,000 likes on her video, and comments probably close to over 1,000. And I only saw one comment that mentioned this is AI. I had to put the comment down, say this is AI, because AI, and if you don't know you're dealing with AI, it's going to cause a lot of people to see things that aren't there and walk away with stirred emotions that are stirred up, and they're going to respond and do things. And God forbid it costs more harm. I've said this since I started reviewing this Minnesota situation. We're dealing with a honey hole of fraud. And when you have fraud, violence and protests will follow. How does that happen? You wonder, because the people who make the money are able to pay the people to come in and to protest and to distract away from the situation. And even worse, those protesters now bring in people that aren't paid, like a Renee Good and Alex. I forgot the guy's last name. And they will turn around and they will respond with a level of frustration and anger and not know exactly what they're really fighting for. Minnesota is a fraudulent place right now. I know for a fact that people come from other countries, specifically Africa, to Minnesota in order to get government benefits. I know that. They know that. Think of it. You have sub-Saharan Africans. And I say it because, yeah, my mom and my father both are from Africa. I had the pleasure of becoming a naturalized citizen, serving this country. And I love this country. And they couldn't even tell me if I went back. They sent me back 2 to 3 years, sent me back. I came here when I was 2 years old and I knew nothing but different. My mom and my dad, when they came here, they came and they brought skills to this country. And we were fortunate because we paid the price and the time to be able to pass the test to become naturalized citizens. The price, the time, because it is expensive to pass the test and to pass the test to become naturalized citizens. And my father went on to work for Sunoco and do engineering infrastructure for some of the best gas companies in the country. And my mom, she worked at an HBCU for the last 20 plus years. And that's crazy too, an HBCU. Yeah, you got something on me. We need to stop this and come together. Let love win. I agree. Let love win. We do need to stop this and come together. But at the end of the day, I don't believe that if we wanted to stop it, certain powers would allow it to stop. And I keep saying it because you're dealing with money. You're dealing with the spirit of mammon. And when you deal with the spirit of mammon, you got to realize that mammon, when people are in relationship with it, they will do anything in their power to keep it and to maintain it. Let's go. I'm going to give you what I got today.
Independent journalist Nick Shirley teamed up with Minnesota whistleblower David Hoke to expose alleged fraud in the state.
Let me pause this real quick.
Right here, state of Minnesota, where are the kids? They got paid $1.26 million in fiscal year 2025. It says they have a capacity for 74 children.
When?
Where are the kids? Right here. What was this money spent on?
Independent journalist Nick.
Let's take this. Let's take this to the top. Let's take it from the top, man. Let's take it from the top. Real talk. And if you're listening to this, you don't hear me, let me know. Let's take this from the top. Let's go.
Shirley teamed up with Minnesota whistleblower David Hoke to expose alleged fraud in the state.
Right here, state of Minnesota, where are the kids? They got paid $1.26 million in fiscal year 2025. It says they have a capacity for 74 children.
When?
Where are the kids? Right here. What was this money spent on? $1.26 million. What was that money spent on? There aren't any kids. It says you have 102 children here, and you got $2.66 million this year in funding. We're just wondering where the kids are.
David Hoke joins me now for his very first interview on the Fox News channel. David, I was very excited to have you on here. When you listen to that new footage that we've heard for the first time of Ellison saying the U.S. policy in Somalia will help Somalia stabilize, I want to work on the Somali side of the equation. Does that surprise you? Because you have said that you think politicians turned a blind eye to this fraud that you found.
Well, it does not surprise me. And you know what's interesting is when you talk about Keith Ellison, he's not from Minnesota, he's from Detroit. Jacob Fry's not from Minnesota, he's from Virginia. The police chief of Minneapolis is not from Minnesota. He's from New Jersey. His wife's a Muslim cop in New Jersey. The mayor of St. Paul is not from Minnesota. And so it plays into this whole contention that I've made that this fraud framework was set up by the Democrats. And what I believe they tried to do is when the Hmong population was brought into Minnesota in the late 70s and early 80s, there was a huge influx of the Hmong. And I think the Democrats thought the Hmong were going to fit the playbook for committing all this fraud, and they didn't. The Hmong said they were honorable people. They're not going to be involved in this. And so they had to find another group. And so they got the Somalis, and they fit right into this framework of fraud, and then they just ran with it.
So David Hoke, earlier in the show, we talked about a Somali groups out in Maine that were receiving donations, private donations that were intended for shooting victims. And they claim, well, those weren't intended for shooting victims. That was a separate fund. But nevertheless, I bring this up. Do you think this is a problem beyond Minnesota?
It certainly is a problem, at least nationwide and maybe worldwide. And what I can say with confidence is that if it involves the Somalis, it was incubated here in Minneapolis. They tested out these programs to see what they could get away with. So they started with child care, and then they went to home health care, things that nobody ever checks. Nobody from the state of Minnesota ever goes and verifies how many kids are at the child care, what is their ethnic origin, because when you get federal funds, which is what these child cares are getting, it's CCAP, which is a child care assistance payments. That's a blend of federal and state money. And the Civil Rights Act of 1964, Title VI, says that if you receive federal funds, you cannot be ethnically exclusionary. You can't be discriminatory in your practice. And I said, well, the way I think the Somalis are getting around that is they don't have any kids at all.
Wow. Well, David Hoke, we have some breaking news we have to get to. Just on our way to break, first, I know your life has been threatened. You have security at your home. I hope you stay safe. But final question, I just have a few moments. We do have to get to this breaking news out of your state. But you're testifying before the Senate next week. Is that right?
Well, it was delayed because of the impending storm, so it was going to be the 28th, and it looks like it's moved to February 4th, but I am testifying, yes.
Okay, we're following that on February 4th. We'll stay in touch with you. Thank you.
I'm Steve Duke.
Okay, so he was going around with Nick Shirley and going into these daycares, going into these businesses and finding out that they were fraudulent. I said, this has been around since 2016, 2005. This is not 2015, 2016. This is not a brand new thing. This is not brand new. When we're dealing with mammon, when we're dealing with money, there's always going to be a fight to maintain and to keep position. So Donald Trump, and I was sitting on the deck this weekend. I'm like sitting down, just storming outside. I would be the one that would actually sit down in the middle of a storm outside, underneath a heater, smoking a cigar and just looking up and just thinking, probably browsing on my phone. And it hit me and it came to my spirit so hard. I said, wow. When you take the money out and you attack the money, this is what happens, chaos. People die. People get shot. People lose their lives because they're excited emotionally. Like I said, I started off talking about your emotions controlling yourself. Excited emotionally about a situation. I have to wait sometimes to look at these situations and gather as much as I can from videos. I try to stay away from all reaction. I'll come back later and listen to some reaction videos. But I got to go listen to the source. I got to listen to CNBC, NBC, Now, Fox, and then anything you can find in between, just to get a concept of what really took place. Everybody has different perspectives on it. And it was sad to see that happened. I think a lot of people on the left, or some people that may not be left, but they just are emotional about this and the other things. They want you to come out and condemn Trump, condemn ICE, condemn all of it. No, you can't. Why would you? When I break a glass in my kitchen, I don't stop using glasses. I become better in handling glasses. I don't stop using glasses. You know that you're inviting these protesters out. They're getting physical, rolling around on the ground, all these different things. Things like that is going to happen. It's going to. First thing I thought about was when you're in the executive protection space, not just executive protection, even if you've ever done any level of martial arts or self-defense, there's always the question of what does that person have that they can use against me? Even if you disarm a person, you still wonder what else do they have that they can use against me. And the reason I never went down that road of doing executive protection is because it's just like being a police officer when you get in that space. Matter of fact, executive protection, or I think they're equivalent now, private executive protection to like the CIA, not the CIA, to POTUS's protection force. What do they call it? Secret Service. Very equivalent to Secret Service. But you live in that heightened state of something could potentially happen to you. And you respond, in some cases, over and above the level that's warranted for that response. That's why they said excessive force for an officer. They may call it excessive force. Because there's a level, but then you go above and beyond. In this type of situation, none of them can tell whether he had another gun and he got rid of it. They didn't even see the other officer take the gun. And his movement, they saw the weapon, and the cop who was not even holding him down, police officer, fired 2-3 shots. When I see that, I can say, I don't like it and I don't agree with it. I felt like something else could be done. But I also look at it from the perspective of the officer and say, and realize you're in a chaotic situation and you have no idea what this guy has. You just ran into somebody that brought a gun with 2 magazines to a protest, a peaceful protest. What's the intention of the individual? Because if the protest is peaceful, and we haven't seen, well, there have been situations where guns have been fired by some of the immigrants that they were going to pick, specifically one Venezuelan guy. I read a story on that. But when you have those type of situations and the emotions are tense, it's cool to Monday night quarterback. That's what we call it. That's when we reaction videos, Monday night quarterbacking. News commentators, media, Monday night quarterbacking. They're always quarterbacking. Why are they always quarterbacking? Because that's the equivalent of a reaction video. They're going to tell you, and then they're going to bring in an expert, and then the expert's going to give you their opinion. But nothing, just like wartime, nothing can actually communicate the level of stress that you go through in that type of situation, not knowing what happens. I was in a situation before where someone came into a church and I was doing executive protection, and we had to take him down, and there was no, we don't know what he had on him. We didn't know. Nobody knew what he had on him. It's a scary situation. It is a very scary situation. Do I condone it? Dude, I can't point a finger at this guy and say that they were wrong for shooting him. Because I keep saying, it keeps coming back to the point that we make bad life decisions. These guys are making bad life decisions. They're showing up in places that they should not be at, doing things that they shouldn't be doing, and in this case, having something that he shouldn't have had. I don't care if what you're dealing with, whether you claim to be the new Black Panther Party. You guys are welcome to do it. I've seen you guys' video out there. Y'all funny. The new Black Panther Party, or whether you're just a citizen and you say, I have the right to bear arms, my Second Amendment. And I know a lot of people don't like this. And then I saw some text, and I keep telling y'all, watch these AI tweets. I go and look for this tweet. I don't see it. Don't see the tweet nowhere. You better believe if President Trump decided to confiscate weapons and have people turn in all their private army arsenal, do you know it would be more people rallying behind against the federal government than anything else? Because that Second Amendment was actually put in place to keep the federal government intact by the people. But you have to sit back and think about it and say, when you show up to a peaceful protest and you bring a firearm, there's only one result. Either you're saying I'm coming to protect myself, and then we got to ask you a question. Have you seen guns drawn on you, and why you as a white male would actually be out there to protect yourself? We're not coming looking for you as a white male. We're not coming looking for you as a black male. We're coming and they're looking for the people who they have active warrants that they're pursuing. Now, I've heard people say, hey, no, that's a lie. Leon is fraudulent. They don't have any active warrants that they're pursuing. Okay. But one thing I definitely know for sure, if you show up like that in that type of intense situation, because you have the right to do it, you will get served. Something will happen to you. Something will happen to you. Yeah, bro, shut up. I got it, bro. You know, bro, this is the thing about it. There's so many other places you can go online. And you're very much welcome to go to those places and listen to them that fits your narrative. I'm going to keep you on here, you know what, because I truly believe that we're at a place where if we don't have conversation and discussion, we both may not agree about certain things. If we don't have a conversation or discussion about it, the atmosphere will continue to intensify and it would actually crystallize, and that's when it becomes a powder cake. That's when shit happens, bro. That's when it happens. So I can sit back in my maturity and listen to people with counter thoughts and learn something still from their counter thought, even though I may not agree with what they have to say, but I can sit back and listen to them. And in the course of that, I will see a point. Like I sat back and I listened to some people on the left and people that I don't necessarily agree with politically. And I realized, and I said, you know what? The expression and respect for life, it's not there. It's not there. It's not there from the people that's showing up, and it's not there from the people. Because when you're focused on one goal, which is the fraud behind it, and going even deeper, the illegal immigrants that are there, the people that do commit stuff that are there. The worst thing I saw in Georgia Tech, when my daughter's getting ready, she was looking for college. The worst thing I saw at one of the schools there was when an illegal alien immigrant murdered and raped one of their students. It makes you as a father think, do I even want to send them down there? Let's look for some other schools. And then we start looking for other schools. You may not agree with me, and I agree, and I understand it. It's cool. You don't necessarily have to agree with me. But at the end of the day, the failure to communicate will always result in actions that neither side really wants to happen, but it does happen. Plain and simple. Okay? I've been saying this, and I'll continue to say it. This is all a distraction. This is the okie doke. This is the banana in the tailpipe. You seen Beverly Hills Cops? Eddie Murphy goes out of the hotel. He goes downstairs. It's the banana in the tailpipe, bro. That's what it is. You know? So, Michael 118, banana in the tailpipe. You sitting back here and you're upset because somebody emotionally showed up with a firearm on them and flashed the firearm. The law enforcement saw it and he's in their way. You're upset with the death of that individual. I'm upset with the death of that individual too. Shouldn't have happened. Shouldn't have died. I'm more upset with the decision making that's showing up right now in these protests. That's what I'm more upset. The decision that is not even there to actually use common sense when you're getting around federal officers, whether you think they're federal officers or not, doesn't matter. And I'm more upset with the fraud that's being covered up concerning it. They all getting paid, and they all been getting paid.
So while Bovino's cracking down in Minnesota, House Republicans turning the heat up on Ilhan Omar. They want to know how she got all that money.
What your response is to the Oversight Committee launching an investigation into your net worth, you and your husband's net worth. They're claiming that it's risen rapidly. What's your response to what they're saying?
House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer. All right, Mr. Comer, you were in banking before politics, right? So she suddenly in 1 year after being worth a few $1,000s is now worth $30 million. Have you ever seen anything like that?
No, and the way the financial disclosure forms are, there's a big variation, but here's what we know. She went from zero to anywhere between $6 and $30 million in a year. Now, why is that relevant? First of all, I don't know many people that go from 0 to 30 without having a legitimate business. Her husband is in some type of finance business, but we don't know what it is. It doesn't appear to be private equity, doesn't appear to be venture capital. So we just have questions. What exactly is the business that you're involved in?
So it doesn't appear to be private equity or venture capital. I thought it was private equity. I thought it was venture capital. Because in private equity and venture capital, you can at least funnel money through, okay? At least they funnel money through private equity, venture capital. Hey, oh, you're buying houses? Oh, you're buying property? Okay, let's give you $250,000. No, let's give you 500. Let's give you 7 million. You can go buy some houses, and while you're doing that, cut yourself off too. You know that, and you think that it's not like that, and we expect our check, but it's really not our check. We're just really trying to tell you we appreciate you putting up the fight for your cause or the cause we both share. And you think it's not like that, but I think it is. I think it's like that more than you actually think it is. And it's a scary thing for some people to actually have these conversations. Some people don't want to listen to it. They don't want to have it. They don't believe it. Okay. They don't believe it at all. And when they look at their 401ks and they look at how much they have to retire on based against what would you call it? A government employee who was elected to that position, then you got to weigh it out. You got to weigh it out. You've been putting through your work, your creativity, you showing up to work, you're doing what you got to be doing, you're making those hard decisions. They believe that because they have access to that information, they should live higher and better. Plain and simple. Believe it or not.
It's kind of like the same questions we asked Hunter Biden that he never could answer. But then, you know, she won't answer any questions. The ethics committee is supposed to investigate members. We're not supposed to investigate individual members, but this business is in her husband's name. So we can investigate her husband, and we are going to do that because we're, as you know, in the middle of this Minnesota welfare fraud. And there's been a lot of accusations about a circle of influential Somali Americans that are benefiting from these financial scams in Minnesota. Her name is on the list. Now, she's going to get due process. I don't know if she's guilty, but what I know is she went from 0 to anywhere between $6 and $30 million in a year, and she won't even answer a simple question like you saw there. What did you do?
I mean, it looks very suspicious when you have millions of the Somali cash just flying all over Minneapolis with no scrutiny whatsoever. Wasn't there also a vineyard involved here? The husband's involved in the wine business?
Yeah. You know, there's a thing called money laundering where people have businesses and they deposit, lots of cash. Again, I'm not accusing them of any wrongdoing, but she should answer a simple question. If any member of Congress is asked what business their family's involved in, I've never seen one fail to answer it. That's not a hard question. My husband has a private equity firm and he's done exceptionally well in the last 12 months. She won't answer that question. And everybody in America suspects foul play here.
Right.
And again, we're going to find out. It's not going to be hard to figure out what business he's in and where the money came from. So that's going to be a central part of our entire Minnesota fraud investigation because she is the leader in Congress, in the district, in the congressional district where the overwhelming majority of the welfare fraud is taking place. Her name, as well as the Attorney General Keith Ellison's name, have been mentioned as people of interest. I'll put it like that, Jesse. So we're gonna follow through on this, and I think she's gonna have some difficult questions to answer.
All right. Well, if Omar starts painting and selling those pieces of art, then I think we're on to something. Congressman, good to see you. Thank you so much.
Hey, Sean Hannity.
So this is not a brand new thing. Ilhan Omar, and the more that this comes out, a lot of people, y'all don't want to talk about it. Y'all dislike it. Y'all hate it. Why is it so inconceivable that this is a fact? I don't know why it's so inconceivable that this can be true. Why? Is it because you don't want Trump to be right? And I do think a lot of them just don't want Trump to be right. And it's okay if you don't like Donald Trump. It's perfectly fine. But you can't ignore the reason behind it. You can't. See, a lot of these politicians, you got to realize the reason why there's a lack of respect sometimes, even with Donald Trump and some of these other guys and the politicians, and that class is also it's like a class warfare, I would actually say. Why it seemed like they were warring so much when Trump was trying to get into office. You had the entertainers, you had the politicians, you still got the businessmen right now. It's because they all recognize and realize when you work for the federal government, there's so many loopholes you can make money on, man. So many loopholes. You get access to so much information, so much stuff, especially when you're elected official. You know when stuff is coming down the line. If I knew what was going to happen when what's his name, Arthur Blank built the Falcon Stadium, Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, if I knew that was going to happen right there, I would have focused my energy on buying everything in that square mile radius. But do you believe that do you not understand and believe that some of the politicians that actually work for Atlanta, they knew that there was a proposal up from Arthur Blank to potentially take over down there and demo one of the oldest one of the oldest churches in Atlanta downtown, buy it, demo, and build. This is real thing. This is how you find deals. This is how you make money. This is how you make money. This is how you make money. So don't think that this is off the hook. Like, you don't like the theory? All right.
Good afternoon. We are coming on the air with a breaking news update on that deadly shooting in Minneapolis on Saturday. Moments ago, we heard from the Minnesota governor calling on the Trump administration to remove federal officers from Minneapolis after at least one officer shot and killed 37-year-old Alex Preddy, an ICU nurse who helped care for veterans. Officials say he had a gun and that he was a lawful gun owner with a permit to carry. The Trump administration insists Preddy was violently resisting arrest, with one top official saying he brandished the gun, but witness videos appear to counter that narrative. And now Governor Tim Walz calling this not a political debate, but a moral one. Listen.
And it's not a moral debate. It's not. It becomes a moral debate when you say they're not treating the people right that they're handling. When you keep saying that, but the people that came here didn't go through due process. They still go through due process leaving. Yeah, they're still doing that. They still giving them some level of due process. Some of the immigrants that have been stopped and they were detained when they were in New York, they're out on bail. Nobody talks about that. Nobody says anything about it. Nobody says anything about it. Tim Walz dodged a bullet not becoming the VP. If he would have became the VP, I'm going to tell you that this thing right here would have still came out. You think the Republicans wouldn't have used this as a way to actually say, hey, you made this guy the VP, but his state is full of fraud? They would have played the same damn card. Nothing changes. Nothing changes. Listen, this is a battle for power, man. This is a battle for power. The only way that Hitler was able to stay, like they keep comparing Trump to Hitler. I don't know why, but bro, you ask a Jewish person who dealt with the Holocaust if Trump reminds them of Hitler. It's funny when a bunch of people that aren't they never lived through it, but they use that same example to explain this man. But you deal with that, and now when we sit back and we tell you that you don't show up to a protest, no matter how you disagree with a guy with a gun and 2 magazines, you're sending a message, even if you have your Second Amendment right, that you are down to make or create something. And when we tell you that, it's crazy. Nobody wants to listen. But Tim Walz it still would have went out the same way. And just like 2015, this is not a new story. It's just happening 10 years later. The money's going to continue to flow out. Plain and simple. It's been doing this since 2015. This is not a new story. I keep telling people it's not brand new.
It's an inflection point, America. If we cannot all agree that the smearing of an American citizen and besmirching everything they stood for and asking us not to believe what we saw, I don't know what else to tell you.
We have also just heard in the last few minutes from Border Patrol Chief Greg Bavino defending the actions of the federal officials on scene. Listen to that.
when someone chooses to listen to a politician, a so-called journalist, a community leader that spouted that type of vilification towards law enforcement or anything else, when you choose to listen to that, that is a choice, and there are consequences and actions there also. I think we saw that yesterday, and those actions and choices can obviously have tragic consequences.
I want to go to NBC's Camila Bernal, who was on the ground for us in Minneapolis. As we have seen more of these witness videos come in, Camila, we're also seeing additional protests in the city. Tell us what it's like on the ground.
Yeah, Hallie, behind me is where Alex Preddy was killed, and we've seen the crowd getting larger throughout the day despite these freezing temperatures. They have made somewhat of a makeshift memorial around the area where he was shot, and people are bringing candles and flowers. I've seen people kneeling down and sobbing around that memorial. There's been some nurses that have gathered here who say they can relate to Alex Preddy and who say that he, in their opinion, was here helping that person who was shoved into the ice, that woman that you also see on the video. And so a lot of the people that I've spoken to say they can relate because they too have.
So the humanization of this guy, so he's not just someone that died. I respect and I honor because he's a human being, he passed. But that cannot be used to ignore the level of decisions, the decisions that he made up until that point. You can't use it. You can't use it. You can disagree, but you can't. Because even as a human being, we still have rules. We still have common sense that we have to abide by. So we don't find ourselves not just in situations like this, but worse situations. And the saddest part to me is that these people aren't really fighting for something that's even important. Now, you may say, Leon, what do you mean? We're talking about, no, because it's not even so much about the fraud in Somali, because honestly, these guys cut deals on the back end. Come on. You don't go 15 years, 14 years, 10 years with this level of fraud taking place in Minnesota. Nobody knows. Nobody has an idea. Nothing's going on. Nobody does. You don't do that. You don't do that. The Somalians know. They know that what they do is out of pocket. I have yet to see any Somalians showing up and doing these wide, large-scale protests. I don't know. I just don't see it. Maybe you see it. I don't. That's why I say these guys are dying for no reason. They really are. They should not be real estate deal. They should not be nobody should have lost their life fighting for a cause, for people in a cause that are actually robbing you blind still, and fighting for a honey hole, really, a fraud. Hey, man, say what you got to with it. They need to humanize them. I don't find there's an issue with that. And really, that needs to happen. I think that's good. That's perfect for the cops, for the ICE, so they know who they're handling. But at the same time, we should know as human beings that some things just don't make sense. It really doesn't.
Sure. The fact that he was standing in the middle of the road, there was interaction between him, the bystanders, and law enforcement, and again, follow directions of law enforcement. He doesn't need to be in the middle of a crime scene. Dan, I don't think you would want to be in the middle of a crime scene, or you would want civilians in the middle of a crime scene injecting themselves into something that is none of their business at all. Yeah, again, the officers on the ground, in that melee, we hear gun, gun, gun. So that gun at some point became visible to officers. Pure speculation, and that is why we have an investigation, Dana. That is what we are investigating. You're not going to know that now, and I'm not going to know that now.
So I'm going to drop this. This is going to be the last time I roll over this. But before I roll out and I move on to some other topics that we can talk about, because, guys, this is, at the end of the day, honestly, I'm a believer that when all of this craziness is going on, there's money plays to be made, and that should be your most important thing, because distractions come to keep you off of these things. But when I was looking through this and just tossing this back around, I saw this TikTok video, and I said, "Damn, I don't think I'm alone."
It's a coincidence that deportations are happening all across the country, but it's only in Minnesota where we see this level of chaos. Is it also a coincidence that it's the same state, same leadership that has this massive fraud scandal? Why aren't we seeing this type of chaos in other cities and states? Okay, what's the common denominator? It's leadership, right? You see Jacob Fry, you see Tim Walz. They keep going out, and what are they telling their base? Go out there, follow ICE, obstruct, record them, use your bodies, use your cars, whatever you need to do, stop them. Jacob Fry said, get the F out, ICE. So why don't they want immigration enforced there? You have to ask these very pertinent, simple questions. Like, why don't they want ICE there? This is even prior to the situation with Renee Good, right? See, they know that the chaos is going to ensue anytime you direct citizens to go and obstruct federal law enforcement, which, by the way, they're also saying that they're not actually law enforcement. That's another lie they're telling their base, to embolden them to go against these regular guys who aren't, quote unquote, federal agents, right? Is to cause confusion and embolden, give their base a sense of entitlement. They think they're doing something righteous. And so they go out, they create all this chaos. And then, of course, with this level of chaos, something's going to go wrong, as it did today. And guess what? What are they going to say? See, look, and now Jacob Fry and Tim Walz have instantly gone to their social media to say, okay, President Trump, you see what's happening? We need you to get rid of ICE. We need you to stop the operations and pull out. That's the goal. That's what they wanted all along. Why? Because they don't want ICE deporting their new voter base. They need them. You know why they need them? Take a guess. Why is Jacob Fry dancing around waving a Somali flag and speaking in Somalian, and Minnesota officials are wearing hijabs even though they're Catholic? Why? None of this is...
Oh, hold on. That is true. I did see... I'm trying to figure out. I saw this also in New York. I saw a lady that the New York Police Department was teaching women there who weren't Muslim, most of them look like Catholic, to actually don a hijab. Do you not think that's weird? Like, why do you have to wear an hijab? See, if you go to certain Muslim countries, a lot of Muslim countries, women have to wear an hijab. Why would you want to do that to make them feel comfortable? You're in the West. You're supposed to conform to our society. We don't conform to your society. We got pizza. We got spaghetti. We got hamburgers. Damn. We got Chinese food. We got fried chicken. We got what else? What other dishes? Sushi. You can go to anywhere, just about anywhere in the United States, and get cuisine from other countries. But those cuisine, don't get it twisted because you think you eat Chinese food, that you know Chinese food. It doesn't taste the same. They do it and they change the taste bud setting for the Western culture. That's what I'm saying. They have to change to fit the Western culture. Our taste buds aren't the same. We're not tasting their actual cuisine. Very few places is that true. Very few. But you guys will practice, but they will con a lot of people into believing you got to don a hijab. You got to put this on. Why do you always need something brand new, something innovative? Why can't you just be you and just accept the culture and the identity that God has blessed you with and be proud with it? And I'm not saying, but do you even know what the purpose of a hijab is? They don't know. They don't know. So when you have a lot of Middle Eastern women who don't agree with that, and they get on TikTok, they get on YouTube, and they're talking about the hijab, how it's suppressive to the women, how it's suppressive to their culture, how the Islamic men are suppressive to y'all just open up your hands and say, oh yes, give me a lot of that suppression. Get that suppression over to me.
Congratulations, well done.
Just give it to me. I want to be suppressed today. That's what you're basically saying. I want to be suppressed today. You're saying that. You're saying that. The people who come from those countries that are oppressed with that requirement, they know and they can tell the difference between, they clearly tell it to the West that this is an oppressive practice, but y'all put it on We got to make them feel comfortable. They're our neighbors. A lot of people forgot 9/11. They totally forgot about 9/11. And it's not to say that any Islamic person, all of them, that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying, okay, is that not too much has changed since then when it comes to the Islamic faith. It's just a different way of taking the people out. Financially, you're just going to do suicide bombs, or you're going to infiltrate the culture and then use their same freedoms against them. So, I don't know. I'm done.
Coincidence. They need to keep the illegals here. And so they have rallied their base for their own political gain. And they're hoping that it'll turn the public so far against ICE that they'll get what they want, which is to have ICE removed so that they can allow the criminality to continue, because allegedly they're implicated and included in that. That's the real tea.
I think she just nailed it right there. That is the tea. Hey, man, the creator did a great job because at the end of the day, you can act like it's not true, but it's not going to change the fact that these guys are out here and you guys are practicing Western culture. I'm trying to figure it's really confusing. All right, cool. Let me, shoot. No. Listen, politics can be a little heavy. I get it, man. I really do. Because some of y'all don't like it and y'all get mad at each other. I be seeing the comments. Y'all be ready to fight over this thing. Do y'all realize that these people make money off of your emotions just being out of control? All right, cool. They make money. They get you all emotionally stirred up and you get committed to the cause. Man, Cory Holcomb. You know, I'm going to continue talking about this because this is very funny. This is, I keep saying this is a clash of two different personalities. Not just two different personalities, but two perspectives two perspectives of two different personalities. Meaning Cory Holcomb is clearly a liberal. Whatever he does, says he talks about women, talks about men. Everybody gets smoked with Cory Holcomb. That's true. And sometimes he drags people a lot more than he actually should be dragged. And that's a fact. That's a fact. And this video, which I did before, of Cory Holcomb hitting Christina Payne. I did the video. Go check out the video. I posted it. It's all quiet. There's no audio to this video. But it seemed like this video got re-released because it had been out there right after he had this Anton Davis altercation. So him and Anton, if you don't know, Anton Daniels goes on, I said Davis is Daniels. Anton Daniels goes on the Cory Holcomb show, okay? Podcast. Cory Holcomb probably has about 500,000 at best subscribers. Anton Daniels, he's got 1.3 million on one channel. I think he's got close to 500,000 on one channel. You would figure it's almost like Anton showing up and Cory Holcomb, who's well known, is showing up also. And you're going to have a show, a debate of different interests. But no, it becomes more physical. Meaning, if you go back and look at it, Google it, is all over the net. Cory Holcomb gets up out of his chair and goes over to Anton Daniels. And he says some choice words to him, to his face. And the intention is, if you repeat those words to me again, I will knock you the hell out.
Congratulations. Well done.
I say, this is still the problem with the culture. You guys are on your podcast and your YouTube streams now getting physically violent. Well, is a depiction of life, right? Long story short, they go back and forth and it's done. The next day, Anton basically takes shots at Cory. Cory comes back and drags Anton's daughter and his wife through the mud. Basically, and it's a clip. I really should have pulled this one. I was going to pull this. Basically, Anton is saying, my daughter's been emotionally damaged. So I court you up to the whole thing right now. But there's one other part. After he drags Anton, and Anton says these choice statements on his little YouTube deal. It's not little. I'm sorry. It's really cool. I like it. I watch it. I watch Anton Daniels, and I also watch Cory every now and then. He says, I don't play like the streets. And that is the truth. The streets plays different. You got to see, Cory Holcomb is straight hood. He's straight ghetto. He's still straight hood. He drag women even when they good. Put that in a song. I really wish you should. But at the end of the day, it's crazy how in a matter of 24 to 48 hours, this crazy video drops with Anton Daniels, with Cory Holcomb punching, literally hitting Christina Payne. And when he hits her, it was just because it was other men that was there that jumped on Cory. I think that's the only reason why Cory stopped. Now TMZ does a video. Now, this is crazy to believe, and I know it's so far-fetched. Did it truly come out? Did Anton push it out? But it makes so much sense because within 24 to 48 hours, this video with no audio just drops randomly. You guys are changing this game. You guys are making this a completely different game. Because if Anton had anything to do with this video, I think Cory Holcomb's career is just about over right now. I don't think it's going to get too much traction. Don't expect Cory to be talking with Oprah anytime soon or one of these other, The View. He probably may have to do a View tour to get back in the graces of black liberal women or black women, period, or just women, period, because it didn't matter whether you were black or white, liberal or conservative. The way he hit that woman, hands down, I would have been fighting him.
Christina, you went to the police back when this happened, filed a police report. It went nowhere. What are you going to do now that there is a video that seems to support at least the fact that you were punched by Cory?
It is hard even seeing that right now, seeing that playback and having to relive all of this all over again. But it's like almost like what.
I mean, what I'm asking is, are you going to pursue legal action again? The cops felt it was like a stalemate when it happened because they had no video. Now they got video. So I'm wondering, are you over it or are you going to pursue this in court?
I feel like
this is hard. She should never have to do that, man. She should never have to do that. And it's crazy that this whole situation with him just resurfaces on the heels of his clash with Anton. And I say it because in the middle of the clash, Cory gets up and he tells his co-host to move out the way. Told her to move out the way. He said, don't get in the way when you know that Negroes fighting. And he didn't use the word Negroes. He used another word. But still, this resurfaces, to me, this is trauma. It just resurfaces, whether it's a hit at Cory, it's still trauma. It resurfaces the pain of what she went through, because that was graphic.
It's
What's making this so difficult, Christina, to go forward with it?
I feel like Cory's like threatened or tried to silence me, or like where it's like I've been in fear for my life, literally. Not able to leave the house sometimes, and so I
know you say you're in fear for your life. We mentioned the fact that he got a restraining order against you.
We have a restraining order against each other.
And you have one against him as well. Since
because
then,
he brought the liars to court and confused the judge, and we didn't have the video yet. So we literally got the video the day after court, literally. So I never went back to pursue like, oh, let me get an appeal or nothing like that. Like my attorney literally kind of gave up after she was getting defamed in her character and everything. You can see on his how horrible he would speak about me and her. And literally, it's horrible. Like the way he treats women, the way he talks about us, and then to the point.
If every last woman who watches this video, whether it's in, because it's going to get clipped up, and I'm going to put it out there as a piece. If you see this, you should not be following that nigga. I'm telling you, you really should. He's the last person you should be following. His subscription base when it comes to women should be -0. That means Negro should be leaving simply because of what he does and how he is. Really, Cory has never shown a respect for women at all. Never. Never. And to find out that he had the nerve to get in an argument, and I can see why he dragged this guy's wife and daughter. Because he doesn't like women. He doesn't. Doesn't care about them. Doesn't appreciate them. Might like men more than women, who knows? But he's in California, so all kinds of shit goes down between California and Atlanta. Okay? And I'm 100 with it. So, if y'all feel that y'all gonna continue to be fans of this clown, I'm gonna continue putting out content about this clown, because the doorbell the light switch should go off that the dude's not a good dude. I mean, I saw stuff that he did with Tasha K, some of these, he just drags them. Kendra, oh my God, he just drags them left and right. And I think it's self-hatred. I think it's a self-hatred for himself that he kind of reflects or mirrors back on to women for whatever reason. It's deep.
Where it's like, really, like you're gonna hit me because I'm telling you about God and like you need to change your ways, and you know, it's just horrible. Like and then I'm just disappointed in how nothing was done, and I went back to the police station like so many times, and the LA fires were the excuse every time, or no detectives were ever available, ever, for some reason.
Well, but the video changes things. I mean, you know, when it's just your word against his word, it's a stalemate. Now you have the video, so that's why and if you don't want to answer, I'll respect that and back off. But that's why I'm wondering, are you going to go back to the police now, especially since you have mutual restraining orders? And are you going to say, look at this?
Yeah, who needs the restraining order? I'm the one who's getting punched.
Well, Harvey, what would...
Man, TMZ, they always try to start something. Y'all always trying to start something over there, bro.
You advise.
Oh, I don't want to do that.
See?
Because, you know, I'm not going, I don't know all the facts. And I will tell you this.
Oh, no, he saw the video. He don't know all the facts.
One question I really do have is, and I don't think there's any justification for what he did, because all you're doing when we see the video is talking back and forth.
Roasting, and that's what happens in front of the Improv every Monday for the past 30 years. And we stand out there and roast, but everybody knows in the hood, whoever wants to fight or cry first loses. And he literally lost it.
Well, now, he's sad that you went after him first and it's not seen in the video.
Right. What he actually wrote in his restraining order is that you put hands on him
but
before this video started.
First, so, of course, he has to, like, create some crazy story, you know. But basically, at the end of the day, he put his hands on me, and I didn't do anything to him. Nothing. But also what that video is not showing is the minutes before that. That video really needs to start from when I walk out there initially, instead of cut right there, because there's a gun involved that he passed off to another female comedian and was like, oh, go put that up for me before he hit me.
Wow. Shame, shame, shame. Wow. He's stashing guns before hitting women. Bro. See, when Anton would say you dealing with the hood, you dealing with the hood. This is hood shit right here. This is it. This is hood. This is why I realize certain comedians make it to certain levels, and certain comedians never make it to those levels. Some stay at these lower levels. You see them at these shows, and they'll do these Chitlin circuit shows. Some of them never get that break, and could it be because of the way that you carry yourself, if you've rubbed people the wrong way in certain situations? Maybe.
So, literally, I am fighting with my mouth for my life, roasting this dude, but in the name of Jesus, okay? So I literally said, like, leave me alone. Like, you didn't learn from the last time you tried to, say, he said, I'm a super sock this B. That's what he said initially 6 months prior to that hit. So he finally did what he had been saying he was going to do. He threatened me in June of 2024, before this hit happened, in December of 2024. And there's witnesses for that as well. So that's why.
Christina, what started back in June? What started this beef between you? Is it just a roasting that somebody that...
Well, he literally jumped into a conversation I was having with another comedian, and we were having this conversation with that comedian because of what he was doing to another female comedian, making her uncomfortable. So when that guy went off, and, I clown him to silence, but later he's my friend, so I'm like leaving. I'm like, all right, so I'm gonna see you tomorrow, friend, on some, like, but he literally was on silence and then stood over by Cory Holcomb, and then Cory Holcomb goes, he ain't gotta say you, bitch. And he jumps in my conversation with my friend. So that's how that whole thing started that way in like June of 2024. But there's history going back from like 12, 15 years ago.
I'm telling you, as I'm talking to you, I'm literally looking online of all the stories that broke within the last 24 to 48 hours about Cory Holcomb in this from 2024. This is not a brand new thing from 2024. And they're talking about, I'm going to say clearly that Cory Holcomb is about to get hit with something relatively hard. He might get hit with the money portion, a lawsuit, or they might bring him up on some charges, because it's crazy how this dude gets into this altercation with Anton Daniels, and within a matter of probably a week later, this just drops, and now she's gassed up. She ready to go. She kind of feeling ashamed, which I can get that, because what dude bullies a woman, bro? When you have a dude bullying a woman, I call that like the most weakish that I've ever seen.
So you had said a few minutes ago that the video, you got the video just a day after the court hearing for the restraining order.
Yes.
So you have this video. Do you have the longer version where you see somebody brandishing a gun?
Well, that's the thing, is that it was literally sent to my attorney where it's cut right, like, after he were to pass it off or something like that. So it's like they're not showing the whole video, and that's what I'm saying. We need the whole video, like from the front when I walk out there initially, like 12:35 or something, when I had to, and I was waiting for my car to pull up. My car was arriving soon or whatever.
Right.
It's like that was only a matter of like 8 minutes or something like that of time, but they're literally showing right at the 3-minute mark or something like that, and
right,
not the whole complete video. But
we got
after, if you look back towards the end, you'll see that that person goes back to go get wherever she hit it from, and you know what I'm saying. So it's
okay.
Well, it seems like the full video,
yeah,
is going to tell this story.
Thank you
Christina,
so much.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate.
Cory Holcomb got something coming for him, man. Something coming down the line for Cory Holcomb. maybe, I guess, down the line, you'll learn not to be messing with that dude, Anton Daniels. Because to me, this is weird, bro. Out of nowhere, that just drops all of a sudden. I don't know. All right. I'm about to reach the hour mark on this stream, and I am going to let's jump over and stop getting out of these political conversations, because wealth transfer. I know it, and I've seen it already, and it's already starting because it's starting to happen. I'll get people, which I've had, bring me their houses to list on the market because their parents have passed away, or I've had caretakers say, hey, we got to sell this house, how fast we got to do it. What's going to happen over the next 5 to 10 years, I say 15 years, is going to be unprecedented. The money is going to be flowing more than a lot of people even think or imagine. When you say that the rich are going to get richer, yeah, it's going to happen. But this is the thing. It's not just going to happen to them. It's going to happen to anyone who has the knowledge to tap into this wealth transfer. Okay? But baby boomers, they're on their way out.
America is set for a massive wealth transfer in the next decade or so, and it's expected to shake up the high-end property market. Gen X and millennials will inherit trillions of dollars in real estate as older Americans begin passing down decades of accumulated wealth. New research shows luxury homes will play a huge role in that shift, with much of the money tied up in real estate. So we often talk about how the housing market feels stuck right now and ways that you can mobilize it a little bit to give younger Americans who want a piece of what they consider to be the American dream an opportunity to be able to get in. We also talk about the baby boomers. They're working longer. They are accumulating more wealth. They're sitting on a lot of real estate. They are, in many cases, the ones that are not moving out, not downsizing to kind of open up the inventory. So when these kids inherit the real estate markets from their folks, are they going to keep it? Are they going to sell it? Does this unlock anything?
Do they have a job that's going to be able to afford the property taxes and the maintenance? Probably not. That means a lot of that's going to flood into the market. There's going to be available properties that are way out of people's bounds. Then what happens?
Yeah, it's not about what you cop. It's about what you keep. Remember Lauryn Hill said that? It's not about what you cop. It's all about what you keep. Can you maintain what you actually get? So you get a lot of people, and it's already happening, getting properties from their parents when they're passing away, or God forbid they got to go into some nursing home and you got to see them grow old over that time, you know? But they're getting the properties. A lot of them aren't keeping these deals. My message is this. If you're watching this, keep the deals. Try your best to hold on to every piece. Because the more we get into this space where we're not even in the information age no more, right? I think we're more like in the technology age, or more tech age. It was some weird way they said it. But with AI, when everything now is going digital, hard assets, which Robert Kiyosaki has been preaching for the longest period of time, and I agree with him on that, whether it's gold, silver, real estate, oil, ground, they become more valuable. That's why we have the U.S. doing what they're doing with Greenland and some of these other countries. They're looking for oil reserves. They're looking for precious metal reserves. Everything that's a hard asset becomes more valuable. And we're going to see it. I don't think this generation is going to be ready for the amount of wealth that they're going to get from the baby boomers, from their moms and for their pops. But don't sell any of these deals, man. Keep these deals. Keep them. Don't sell them. Try your best to hold on to them. If you can work numbers to see if you have to put it in a pad split, if you have to put it in a Airbnb format, even if you just plug somebody in there and they rent the place and you're making some money every month, it may not be a ton of money, but the lower the amount of inventory, the higher the value of that goes, and the depreciation, you don't see that. You see appreciation rather depreciation in that state. So my advice has always been, don't sell. Please try your best not to sell.
I think ultimately these kids are going to liquidate things just to get cash out of it, to live the life they want to live, whether it's being a nomad or living in an apartment. I don't know.
See, this is a benefit that the baby boomers had.
And pay a mansion tax.
Right. of timing was on their side with respect to the market. They were able to purchase real estate items when, you could see the equity value double. Because real estate was moving so quickly. Now prices are very elevated. They're sort of staying there. This is not the kind of market where you're going to buy something and say, hey, I'm just going to flip it, or if I change my mind in 2 years, because in many cases people lose money on their property. So these boomers really are sitting, Brian, in some ways on, not to parody the commercial, but a gold mine.
It's a great commercial.
That is true.
You're sitting on a gold mine.
I am going to cede my time on this to Dag, and I just want to say,
Why?
Because I haven't thought about this, but I go to car shows a lot in the summertime, and there are a lot of really nice muscle cars at these car shows that I'd love to own. And I'm realizing it's the same dynamic.
Boomers.
These guys love these cars. They're great cars. The valuations right now are huge, and the next generation's not either going to be able to handle them or want them
or care.
And it's kind of the same dynamic. But Dagan's hotter on the house issue than I am.
So you just raised the issue of, I will equate a large, expensive home to a muscle car. Take your pick. Pontiac GTO?
Love them. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, my mother drove one. Truth.
Sweet.
It's the liability of ownership. It's the taxes, not just the property taxes, it's the insurance on it, but it's the...
Whoa. It is liability of ownership. Look at this. Oh my God. Look at it messed up my audio. No, I didn't. Hold on. There you go. Let's get that going back. Ooh. Hold on. Ah. Yeah. This is the first time I've had this happen on the show with me. Wow. Interesting. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that this is probably the end of the show right now. Because if it's not sticking, then it's all. Hey guys, I'll see you in the next video.